Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Hearthstone. We're on our third recording of this recording session and I need to play as Warrior for now and then maybe Warlock if I get a victory. We're playing ranked still. So I'm going to switch to standard play, Warrior. We're trying out all of our new decks now with the new statistics. So we're hoping for 50% or higher win ratios on every deck I built, although in all honesty, I think as soon as the next card pack expansion happens, I'll open 50 packs of that, rebuild all my decks again, and then have probably a lot better chance of accomplishing a goal like this. This looks like a Enrage, maybe Taunt deck. I'm not sure. I don't even remember the decks I built. That goes to show just how long and how much work it was to do all the deck rebuild videos in the same one day. It was 12 hours of working, not 12 hours directly of recording, but also that is an improvement over the 16 hours it was before. So how can I get that down a little bit more? I don't know. I think 12 hours is probably what it's going to stay at, if I was to guess. Just because that felt alright. It didn't feel like crazy amount of extra work for something you do only once in a quarter. And
ancestors.
So yeah, I don't know what I could really do. I could not do test games. I could not do any deck rebuilds. That's what added extra time, is I would rebuild a deck and then I would play a test game, and so if I played the test game and I didn't like something, I'd go and make that game. And sometimes that meant building a deck and then making a new making a test game after the fact.
Let's show our guests a good time.
So I may play 2 games and build a deck twice, which only got some episodes up to like 30 minutes. Most of them were 20 minutes long. It seems like it's fine. I wanted to talk about this. So Lindsay Lohan, famous actress, I believe, has lost her lawsuit against Grand Theft Auto 5 creators, whoever they may be, because they did not use her name, I gotta get this right because this is very important stuff here, at least to me.
Lovely be thirsty.
They did not use her name, portrait, or picture. Her likeness was used in fiction, not to sell products. So there's two issues there why the case was dismissed. They specifically said you cannot, even though they claim they may have used their voice, but they didn't even use their voice. They said the character. Let's take a step back. I'm probably not explaining this. There was in the advertising, you can even see it now. There's this blonde-haired girl that is in a red bikini and
Ready to flee.
And it's holding a cell phone and doing a peace sign. And there is a similar picture of Lindsay Lohan, a blonde-haired woman. That's an interesting diversion of terms there that I just used. I called the cartoon character a girl, I call her a woman. I guess I respect real human beings more than cartoons. she's in a red bikini. She's holding a cell phone. And she's giving a peace sign. And so it was heavily used in the advertisement. And frankly, it was quite a disappointment you didn't play as that character in the game, because that frankly would have been, I think, more interesting. So
I have an axe to grind.
So yeah, so she made the claim, and very fair claim that they drew that character to look like her, and it was in the advertisement, and I'm not sure that character even shows up in the game. It must at some point, because if it didn't, then it should have probably then fallen under the thought that it was used to sell a product and not used in a fiction thing. This case, I believe, was dismissed kind of early too, so that's another thing to consider in this. It's not like they were well into a trial with it or a lawsuit with it. It was, I think, dismissed in pre-trial type stuff. I'm guessing on that. But what effectively I assume happened here, and this happens in comic books, is photo referencing was happened here. There's at least one comic book guy who does nothing but take pictures off, I don't know, Google or something, and then effectively just trace them and just trace over them, and then make his own well, I mean, is he really even making his own thing? Alright, this one, let's see, let's see, this one, and then this one, and so yeah, photo referencing. People basically tracing a thing. Or maybe you're not actually tracing, maybe you don't pull out the tracing paper over a photo and trace it, and even if you are tracing, you're not photocopying it, you're only tracing some of the lines. I mean, there's a whole gamut there, I mean, you could do. You may just have a photo in front of you, and you may be drawing a picture from looking at that photo. In the end, photo referencing is the best term for it, and it happens, and it's a cheap way to do art. But if I was an artist, I might very well do it that way. And video game artists aren't particularly known as getting paid enough or given enough time to do as much as they want there. Let's go and try the Warrior Wild this time. So I would say they're 100% guilty of photo referencing. I just don't think photo referencing is a crime, and it seems like in this case at least they've set some precedents or established that if somebody is going to use your image, they have to call the character at least a similar name. So no one in the game did that character that was photo referenced over, were they called Lindsay or Lohan or LL or even if you said LL, I think a good lawyer would say, well, that could have been Lois Lane or Lana Lane, or I mean, you could go with a lot. There's a lot of people named LL. So they didn't use her name, or And it wasn't like a fake name of Lindsay Lohan that is recognizable. It's not Schminzy Mohan or anything like that. They didn't use her picture. We can agree that is true too. They did not take an actual picture of her and put that in the game. If they photo referenced it, fine. But they didn't use an actual picture. What's really striking me as this armchair lawyer that I'm playing right now, they said they didn't use her portrait. What is a portrait by a legal definition? One would assume, or I would assume, that a portrait is a animation, cartoon, drawing, painting of a character to resemble that person. So if I went and paid a famous artist to paint my portrait, it would look like me mostly, although portraits did have a tendency to hide blemishes of people and such, as do a little photoshopping in the old school way of taking out flaws. There also are character things you can get on Boardwalks that exaggerate your flaws and give you like super long noses and such. And that too would probably qualify as a portrait, at least in my mind, but maybe not legally. It seems like it not legal.
For the king!
Because what's the difference of somebody
For honor.
like 3D animated my likeness in a game and a portrait? That sounds like a portrait. And yet they said they didn't use a portrait. And I guess it's just because it's not specific enough. They were trying to use, in the lawsuit, they were trying to say her shoulder length, her blonde hair, all these things were evidence that that they used her likeness and it was identifiable as her. And I'm like, wait a minute, your shoulder length, your blonde hair, and the combination of everything, it certainly looks like a blonde woman in a red bikini. But in the end, if I put 5 blonde women in red bikinis, put them in a lineup, and put them next to that picture, I wouldn't point out Lindsay Lohan specifically. I'd go, all these women look like this picture somewhat.
Oh my god!
And I guess inherently that's the issue, is that Lindsay Lohan is trying to claim that she owns the look of being a blonde-haired, skinny lady in a red bikini who holds a cell phone and does a peace sign, and then anybody else on the beach would be using her likeness if they also happen to be skinny and blonde hair and have her same shoulder length. And I guess it's just not accurate enough. In the core of it, at a certain point, you have to say humans aren't varied enough for this to work.
A tale of wonder and magic.
Don't worry, lads. The cavalry's here.
Now, you could always do like political satire, so I imagine it would have lost on so many other cases, and that's why it got thrown out early. That, like, if they had done Obama, then Obama couldn't have sued because they used his likeness, because they would have said it was just satire. Anyways, the weirdness here is the only reason why it even slightly was a suit is because they were claiming they were using her likeness to sell a product, and she has, I suppose,
I'll show them all.
I guess it's fair to say people have the right to say that I don't want you using a picture of me to sell something I don't endorse, or I have a right to sell my likeness in endorsements and do endorsement deals like famous people often do. And so there is some protection there. I mean, you wouldn't want, as a random person who isn't famous, for somebody to take your picture off the internet and put it next to like a laxative ad and say, I'm constipated all the time until I took this laxative. I mean, not only is that probably potentially defamation of character, it's also just not nice. So I can see what they're trying to protect there and agree with it. Yeah. That's about the worst card you could have mirror imaged. Well, I'm sure there's a lot worse, but that's an interesting new way for me particularly. So if I was going to photo reference or use somebody's likeness, I apparently can get away with it as long as I'm willing to go through a court case, as long as I don't use their name, their portrait, or their picture, and I use it in a piece of fiction, which which video games are considered a piece of fiction, instead of an advertisement, which that one particularly feels like that could be appealed, because certainly it was in the advertisement of the game, but it wasn't in the sale of a secondary product. It was in the sale of the work of fiction. So I guess if I was to draw a picture of Obama again and write a book about him and have this character that looks like Obama but don't reference his name, his portrait, or his likeness, and, or his picture, and then I think I'd probably get away with that. So that's probably not as interesting to me, to you people. What in the world? I take that back. To most people, as it is to me as a YouTuber and as a creator of some artist stuff. So, but I think it probably is a lot more helpful than you would realize. Hand of Fate 2 is coming out in September. I saw a little demo of it. It looks like they've cleaned up the interface and the fight mechanic. It looks like they're going to have the stories happen within one gameplay instead of breaking some of the DLC stories. Like the Kraken DLC story I never even finished because frankly I just didn't go back to that game. After playing it, I thought about it and it was just like I don't have time for it. It's just another game that's gonna sit here and I'm so far behind on everything. I can't make that argument to do those type of things. Plus, the way that system works is the problem, and I'm glad they're fixing it. It doesn't look like too much is going to change. Otherwise, they may fix some of the visuals. Hopefully they'll make it easier to read the text. That was a pretty consistent problem, where the text would just scale smaller and smaller. But I'm generally looking forward to Hand of Fate 2. Will it be one of the games I cover as it comes out? Probably not, but it'd be nice if I could. The thing here is the income's still a major problem. I can't really afford to buy new games every time a new game comes out, even new AAA games or A games, which I'd call Hand of Fate a AAA or AA game if I'm gonna get down to that level and start calling things AA games. What does this one do? Give you taunt minions.
Keep it quick, kid. I ain't got all day.
Let's see, do I want to kill this guy? I think I have to. Yeah, that's just because that's just gonna get him back up. Actually, that was a stupid play on my part, wasn't it? Let's see. Charge. And then attack. Next thing, Bethesda puts a tribute to a dead Fallout player inside the newest DLC. I assume he died of something slightly tragic and just didn't simply like roll a car or something. Because usually they want to make sure you died of the right thing if you're gonna get a tribute. The problem with this is it's interesting and cool now, and it may even become like a trivia thing later. But after a while, it is definitely enemy spells cost 5 more next turn. Interesting. The problem that happens is over the years, the people that actually knew that person are going to think it's kind of weird, and it's just going to stay there forever. And at best, I would recommend saying like doing something very sincere and just putting up a picture and a rest in peace type thing. At the credits of the game, not putting a 3D rendering of that character in the game. That's going to be very weird and very creepy to people, particularly if you knew that person and it was this 3D rendering of somebody who looks just like him. That's not something I'd suggest doing. Plus, it's kind of very specifically focused on only a small group of people. Alright. Who do I want to kill? This guy?
It's now.
This bolster card's not helping very well. This is a charged taunt deck, and I can see it probably needs some adjustment. Firewatch is getting some free DLC for an audio tour and developers commentary. I think it's audio tour too, but no, I think there's two different pieces to that DLC, and that's a game I don't own right now, but I would like to own and play. So maybe when that DLC comes out, I should jump on that. I'm thinking about it. It's kind of just a matter of something goes on sale, and if I don't make major changes at the end of the year, because this will probably happen in 2017. And all of that, so. Well, I got one quest done, at least. Let's go ahead and switch back to the other warrior. Of course, we're playing ranked here, so it is a little bit more difficult. And then the final thing I need to talk about, I need to enter the confessional and
Malfurion.
get my Hail Marys and all of that.
Victory or death!
Making a reference here that I really don't know anything about, so I should shut up. Is honesty with the viewers, because I'm not Catholic. So, in what is my first example of dealing with somebody who's been very excited to watch my series, one of my series, and very into it, actually watching more than one of the videos and then leaving without leaving a comment. There's this person who is really into my strong bad cool game for attractive people series from Telltale, which already that's a really bad one for anybody to be super excited for it, because I did not like that game. I certainly did not like it. But he's asking me things and I'm like, I don't remember it. I did it months ago. This is the flaw of the game. So he's asking me specific things about what I'm gonna do, and I haven't really put a schedule up. He's asking like, when's the next video coming up, and I'm like, oh yeah, I don't put videos schedules up. So if people did want to see my next thing, I need to explain it at the end of every single recording, and I don't.
I have an axe to grind.
So yeah, I'm not doing a good job at all as far
Natural mistake.
As far as that. That is one thing that the YouTube backstage will probably be very helpful, is if there's this Twitter-like aspect where I can see what's coming out this month and what times they'll be released and such.
Spectacular.
That would be nice.
I can see.
But so this guy first asked me if I'm gonna make Homestar cry, and I imagine that has something to do with one of the in-game achievements. I don't think there were out-game achievements there. And I said probably, because I'm trying to be cool and I'm trying to not spoil it, and also I don't know, but I imagine that in that game at some point I do make Homestar Homestar Venom. So I say probably, and I thought, okay, that's the one thing. I'm glad he's cool about it. I'm glad people are commenting. Every comment helps. Every comment is more engagement. More engagement means more people will be suggesting my videos. And then he asked me, am I going to get Little Brother? And I'm like, I don't know what Little Brother is. So instead of being honest at this point, which I should have been, even when I said probably, I said maybe. And that was wrong. It's not a lie. It's not a, well, maybe it is a lie, but a lie of omission in the sense that I just don't remember. And I'm being coy and saying maybe when I should have said, honestly, I don't remember. I haven't played this game in quite a while because I record my things in advance, and maybe not. I should have been fully honest about it then. And so, but I said maybe. And so then he comes back after the next video and goes, what video do you get it in? And I'm like, oh, sorry, I need to be, I should have been more straightforward. I don't remember. I don't know if I even did it. And
May my ancestors.
it's a lesson. It is a small lesson I have learned here, and I was wrong. I should have immediately said I recorded this a long time ago. I'm not certain. Please watch and let me know.
The blade be thirsty.
Or something like that. Try to turn it into a positive thing. It's like the only other thing I could have done is ignore him, and I don't want to ignore my fans. I'm happy that he's having fun. He is also kind of pushing for spoilers himself, and maybe I can blame the victim here a little bit and say, well, he's asking for spoilers and he shouldn't be doing that, but the customer is always right and the viewer is always right, so I should have just been honest. And eventually I was, but I shouldn't have said probably, I shouldn't have said maybe. I was trying to weasel out, and honesty is important, particularly as I'm trying to grow an audience, and the last thing I need, or anybody needs, as they're trying to grow an audience, is to even open the door to feel like they're being dishonest or deceptive. So honesty is the key. I will try and remember that. On the other note, sometimes I just shoot my mouth off and say stupid things that are wrong. And I try to stop that too, but it happens. And that is part of the issue too. Is that we gotta make sure we don't do that. Well, didn't get those quests done, but that's everything to talk about, and that's 3 recordings. I don't know how I would do a scheduling video all the time to explain the schedule, but maybe in my next intro video, if I ever make a new intro video, would fix that. I need 1 more rogue victory and 2 more warlock victories, and so I'm gonna, instead of recording Resident Evil 4, which I desperately need to do, I'm gonna now be stuck playing this. However, I'm out of stuff to talk about, so that's gonna be it for this recording and this recording session. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment if you want to, and watch every second of my videos. All of that helps out. If you want to support me further, you can click on my name, Rydo. On the right is a blue button that says support this channel. Click it, make a donation. And if you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.